Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Viraj and today we guys are going to discuss something about conditional statement or a decision making statement. Conditional statement or decision making statement. So why we required these statements actually? So conditional statement or a decision making statement help us to decide whether we wanted to perform a specific task or not. So imagine yourself like for example, if there is a traffic for route A and there is a less traffic to the route B, so definitely you will choose a route B. So there is some condition that you are applying. So you are taking the decision basis on some condition. So if it is taking too much time for a route A, so you will switch it to the route B. And that is a human tendency. Similarly, we have to write a code sometime, for example, addition of two things or subtraction, multiplication, division. But how we decide it? Basis on what kind of result we want. For example, 10 and 5, these are two values. If you want something to multiplication, then we will put a multiply sign. If you want addition, then we will put a addition sign and so on. So we take some decision over there. Similarly, while writing the program, we have to take a decision. So that's why we conditional statement are important. So there are a couple of things that we have to consider, or there are a couple of types of conditional statement. If and there is some condition, then if and else will be there. So there will be the one condition, and if that condition is not satisfied, then it will go to the else part. Then nested, we can say that if, then again we can have a nested if, then else and then else. And lastly, we can have a if, elif, and else. So all these things we will see in detail. Don't worry about the what exactly and how these things works. So in another 10 minutes, we will understand everything. Okay. So let me talk about first if. What is if? If is a keyword, first thing. If is a keyword, we need to add condition after if keyword. If condition is a true, then it will execute that block. If condition is false, then it will not going to execute that particular block or code. So how the syntax look like? The syntax is really simple, guys. If condition colon, after a colon we have to give some spaces 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what we need to do, we need to write a logic. So this is what the condition, if condition block. Okay, let me take one example to understand this betterly. If true, by default if I'm writing a true, so what we can say that value is true. You can see that value is true is get printed. What is this? This is something indentation in a Python. Python is not like a Java, C, C++ where we don't have a curly braces, opening, closing curly braces for indentation. Here we need to specify 4 white spaces. So indentation is always going to be 4 white spaces. You might give a 3 or 2 or then it also works. Sometimes it works in a Jupyter notebook if you, even though you give a 2 white spaces, 3 white spaces, 1 white space, but that is not a good quality code, guys. Always we have to give a 4 white spaces. There might be chances that you will end up with the error called as an indentation error, inconsistent tab or white space in your code. So we have to avoid it. Okay. If we write something like a false, print value is a false. Now this time what will happen, guys? This time it won't go in this particular code block. It will not going to go in a code block. The reason is this condition is become false. So it doesn't making any sense to go inside this. It doesn't making any sense to go inside a particular block. Okay. So this is how we can write a if. This is how we can write a if. So this is a condition. This is a condition. Even what we can write, if 10 is greater than 5, print 10 is greater. I need to write this in a double quote or single quote. So 10 is greater. For example, 5 is greater than 10, which is a condition is false. 5 is greater. This condition is false right now because 5 is not a greater value than the 10. So you can see this. It is not printing anything. And if I just wanted to prove it, I can do something like 10 is greater than 5. It will return a Boolean result. This is what we have already seen in operators. And 5 is greater than 10. And we can see this false. So this is how it works. So internally this 5 greater than 10 is get replaced with this particular false, and this if false, then it will not going to go into that particular code block. You will understand this concept in more effectively when we are learning the if and else. Okay. Then let's start with the if and else only. If and else. Here we have two keywords, if and else. If will execute only when condition is false. Sorry, conditional is true. Else will execute only when condition is false. The syntax is again same. If condition logic, and what we can write as something like else colon and logic. Guys, one important thing that we have to understand over here. Here we have given us some white space. Here also we have given a white space, but when we are writing else, it will be in a line of, in the same line the way we have defined a if and the else will be in a same line, but whatever the logic we are going to write in a if block or else block, that should be indented. The reason is, as soon as you have a colon, on the next line you should specify 4 white space. You should specify 4 white spaces. So here also I am having a colon. So on the next line I should specify a 4 white spaces. Okay. For example, if I wanted to show example for this, if true, I will write a print value is true. Else what we can write, print value is false. So right now this particular block is a true. So it will going to execute this. It won't go in a else part. In a if and else, only one of the statement will going to get executed. So guys, what will happen? So either this if block will going to get executed or else block is going to get executed. There is no option of getting the both are not going to get executed at the same time. Only one will get executed. So if I'm running this, so I can see that only true. If false, value is true, and here if I'm writing something like print value is false, and we can see this value is false. The reason is this condition is false, so it will not going to go into this block, it will go to directly jump on a below. Similarly, for example, if 5 is greater than 10, print 10 is greater, else print 5 is greater. Or we can ideally, actually the message should be less than 10. So we can see that If 5 is greater than 10, this is not going to happen. So what we are going to say that 10 is greater. If it is not, something like this. Or we can even improvise this. We can say that 10 and here we can write a 5. So 10 is greater and this will going to print a 10 as greater. And now if we say specify 5 and again 10, so 5 is greater than 10. No, this is not possible. So 5 is less than 10. So this is how we can improvise as well on a time to time. Okay. So one of the condition will going to get x. One of the famous example over here in if and else. So what we can do something like, so validating the whether the number is even or odd. How we can do that? If 5 mod by 2 equivalent to 0, print even, and else what we can say that odd. If the remainder is non-zero, then we can say that odd, and if the remainder is a 0, then what we can say that it is a even. Okay. So how we are calculating this? Like those who don't know, then let me write it in a layman terms. 5, 2 2s are 4. So I will write a 2 over here, and the remainder will be 1. So this remainder is get calculated basis on a percentage, and if you just want this, then what you can do, you can just simply double slash. Okay. Okay. So this is how we can do it. If I am writing something like a 10 mod by 2 equivalent to 0, I know that, or everybody knows that 10 is an even number, and what we can do something like a print odd. So it should print now even. So we can see this even. So this is how we can use a if and else. Even we can have a nested condition. So like this. Let me show you. Nested if. In a nested if, what we have, if, or let me write it quickly, the directly syntax of it. If condition logic, then we have again if block condition, then logic, else again logic, and lastly we will have a else block and logic. Okay, let's see the one of the example. If I am giving a n equal to 25, what I can write, if n is greater than 0, if n is greater than 10, print n is greater than 10. And here we can use a formatting dot format and else print n percentage d is not greater than 10. So I'm using a different type of formatting over here. Else n, and I can write a f over here, which is a format again, is not a positive number. So we can see this, n is a 25. So 25 is greater than 0. Condition is true. It will go to this particular block. Then again one more condition, that 25 is greater than 10. Yes, and this print message is going to generate. Now we can keep the same code, just let's cut copy paste it, and what we are going to just change, we are going to change to this 5. Means this condition is going to get false. This condition is going to get false. So initially what will happen internally? So this 5 is greater than 0, which is true, which is a true. Then what will happen? 5 is greater than 10. The condition become false. Here the condition become true. So this block is a false, means what? This will directly jump to the else component, and we will see able to see the output. Okay, let me add the hash, which is a comment. So we can see that 5 is a greater than, sorry, 5 is not a greater than 10. 5 is not greater than 10. Again what we can do, we can cut copy paste same thing, and this time what I am going to do, minus 5. So here what will happen, minus 5 is greater than 0, condition becomes false. Directly this will return a minus 5 is not a positive number. So you can see this. So this is how we can use a nested if else. So we have a if within a if, then else, and then lastly else. And you can see the indentation rule. This has some more white spaces than this particular guy. The reason is that as soon as we have a colon, we given a 4 white spaces. As soon as a colon, on a next line we added a 4 white spaces for this particular if, and 4 white spaces for a above if, and so on. So similarly I have done for a else and a below. So this is how it will work, guys. Nested if else condition. Similarly, what we need to do, we need to understand the last one, and which is a most important, which is a else if ladder. Okay. If, elif, and else. In the if else, what happen? We put only one condition. In if else, what happen? We put only one condition in an if block. If we wanted to add, if we want to add multiple condition, then we can use if, elif, and else. We can use as many elif as we want. Syntax: if condition logic, elif condition logic, else logic. So we can see this. Let's see the practical example of this. Write a program to check number is divisible by following condition. Check number is divisible by 3, then print divisible by 3. Check number is divisible by 5, then print divisible by 5. Check number is divisible by 3 and 5, then print divisible by 3 and 5, and check number is not divisible by 3 or 5, then print not divisible by 3 and 5. Okay, if it is not divisible by, how we can see this? How we can check this all the condition? Like if I am going to take a 10, it should print a divisible by 5 only. If I am taking a, for example, 9, it should print divisible by 3. Then if I'm taking for example 15, which is a divisible by 3 and 5, and if I'm taking for example, if I'm taking a 8, not divisible by 3 and 5. So these are the output, these are input and their expected output that we wanted to write it in a elif ladder. So let's write it. Number equal to 10. If number mod by 3 equivalent to 0 and number mod by 5 equivalent to 0, print divisible by 3 and 5. Elif number mod by 3 equivalent to 0, then print divisible by 3. Elif number mod by 5 equivalent to 0, then what I can do, divisible by 5. And else what we can say, that we can write as something like not divisible by 3 and 5. So this is how we can write it. This is how we can write it. And let's run this. So divisible by 5. If I'm changing the value to the 9, I should get a divisible by 3. If I'm changing to the 15, I should get a 3 and 5. And if I'm changing to 8, I should get a divisible by 3 and 5. So this is how it should work. So guys, this is how we have covered the like if else, nested if and elif ladder conditional statement in a Python. So that's it for this video guys. See you in a next video. Thanks. Bye.